everyone, welcome back to Yoga Avec Moi's channel. My name is Nal Hafbin if you're new to here. And today we are going to talk about feeling all your emotions during this COVID outbreak. So I'm going to start with sharing a research study that was done with monks that consented to experiencing pain, so that they were gonna like zap them a little bit and then they were gonna see how they reacted on a graph essentially. And the way they did it was that they compared people who meditated, which are basically monks, and regular people who did not meditate or have any relationship with meditation. So what they did was they compared the two, and they saw that when they zapped both groups, the monks, they would actually experience higher levels of pain. Unfortunately, you would think that meditation would actually be able to help you overcome that. No, they actually feel it more. But then what they discovered was that, so if like a monk would feel it up to here, a regular person who doesn't meditate would feel it up to here. But what they discovered was, after the zap was over, like how long it took someone to basically recover. And for the monk, essentially it was high, although the feelings were higher, it immediately dropped back down to equilibrium. Whereas the person who did not meditate consistently or ever, what happened was that they would experience pain less, but then they would plateau a little bit and kind of stay in this shocked phase, in this consistently shocked phase, so that they wouldn't be able to actually go back to equilibrium so much, that they would still be in that shock and that fear. And the reason why I share this story right now is that I'm sure many of you are at this phase where you're shocked by what's happening with the COVID outbreak, and you're not quite able to recover the way you did before, or you haven't been able to go back to how you felt before. Like if you did feel calm, or even that anxiety that you felt before, it's like you're like, I would even take that like level any day. But even that you're unable to get back to, because there's just so much change that has happened that it's like anxiety on top of change. So that this is an area that is like kind of keeping people and society, humanity, all of us are kind of in this like, oh my God, like you saw a ghost and then your nerves are still in that like, stage. And it just hasn't been able to go back to equilibrium, to its norm. And that has a lot to do with so many things. So it is normal if you have been in this like control group, like sort of situation where you just haven't been able to like really recover. Or even if you're like a practice meditator, like myself, I've meditated consistently for like 6 years. Still, I'm not like a monk that can go straight back down. Like I was frazzled for a good 2 months before I was able to come back down. But now that I've regained somewhat equilibrium back to normal, I have found several things that have really helped to, first you have to acknowledge that this is actually happening within society and the world. And this, even though this is a laboratory study that was done in a safe environment, this is actually what's going on in each one of our bodies, like almost like prevalently right now in society right now. So we're all kind of in this like shock stage because we're not able to even go back to our equilibrium, because the ground underneath our equilibrium has shifted. So we're just like, oh my God, I would love to just calm down and like just come back to equilibrium. But what is that? What does that even mean right now, right? So what we can do is that we find our own North Star today in what that means for us every single second. So this is not a good time to make any long-term plans. Like even just like thinking about like telling you guys what a schedule is that I'm gonna be able to give you a video every week, that stresses me out. That's too much for me right now. I can't even do it, even though I have generally something in my mind, but I'm not really holding myself to it. So it's like really kind of adjust all the things that you used to do regularly right now, or things that people have promised me for projects that we're collaborating and working together. I don't hold any of them accountable for not being able to do it, because I mean, like, right now people's bodies are like just shattered, frazzled, just like I said. It's like we're all like literally like a cat that's just been zapped, and we're not great on a nervous system level. All nervous system, it's like we've been frightened and we've stayed frightened, because like I said, the ground underneath us is shifting daily. And so one thing that we can do to really calm ourselves is to actually learn from this study. In the beginning, like, learn how to meditate. Meditation is helpful in coming back to equilibrium. So if you haven't meditated before, now's the time to do it. The time that I started was basically when I was dealing with outbreaks and working long hours, 24 hours a day, and my job had to do with basically sounding the alarm whenever there was one single case, which, imagine, during an outbreak is all the time. I like literally had to turn off my notifications on my email, because, and then I would go to work the next day, and then all of my colleagues would have already been updated and they've kind of like done my job already for me. So it was just like so stressful to be able to be on top of everything, which at some point you realize you cannot, which is why I started meditating, which is wonderful to see those, to be able to discern better those things that you can control and those things that you cannot control. This is where you want to be in the center point, to be able to recognize, interesting. This is sun, this is darkness. You thought maybe I was going to say the moon. The sun and the moon. Or whatever, like light and darkness, black and white, heat or the cold. Anything, just to have it practices the faculty of discernment. So that these monks, when they realized they were zapped, they are no longer zapped once the zap was done, that they could come back, that there was no longer that fear needed or necessary for it to just kind of be there. Whereas people who don't regularly, they're like anticipating another like zap, or like, oh my God, this was such a horrible feeling, I'm gonna hold on to it. Somehow this is like a psychological thing that naturally happens but makes no actual sense, that if I hold on to it, it won't happen again. That doesn't work like that. You know, like, if society is meant to crumble the way it's gonna crumble, it's gonna crumble. So, but we can kind of shift our attention back to our kind of cleaned out nervous system. So one thing that I do want to teach everyone is a simple breathing exercise, that this is something that I do all the time. If I have a headache, if I'm feeling frazzled, if I'm feeling anxious, if I just need to calm down, if I'm not thinking clearly, all these things, go to the same breathing practice. And many of you may have heard about this before. And it's called alternate nostril breathing. So I'm going to do this, but it's going to probably be mirrored for you. So if I say the right, it might be the left for you, but just go with what I'm saying rather than watching me, or just watch me. Actually, for this one, you really need to like hear what I'm saying rather than watch me. Because it matters which one you inhale in and exhale out. So what you want to do is you want to get your thumb, you want to plug your right nostril. You want to inhale through your left nostril. And then you want to use your index finger, plug your left nostril, and then exhale through your right nostril. And you want to inhale through your right nostril. Use your thumb, plug your right nostril, and then release the left nostril, and then exhale through your left. So that's one round. And you want to keep doing that. Inhale through the left, plug it with the index finger, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Plug it with the right thumb, exhale through the left. So that was just 2 rounds. And what you could do is that when you're inhaling, inhale and focus here. let this be like a center point of your focus. Just like when you're thinking of inhaling, you inhale up to here, you exhale down to here, and then you want to inhale back. This is like a focal point. This is just going to keep you like steady. A lot of people do this like with a mudra. A mudra is like a hand gesture. And I actually do recommend doing this, even though I don't do this myself. I just use my fingers. But if you can, is to like kind of plant your pinky and then use your thumb here and then your pinky and your other finger. But this kind of requires a little coordination. But that coordination is actually kind of amazing on its own. That's actually a healing modality of its own. It will kind of expedite the healing processes because half of our brain, the largest part of our brain, is actually responsible for our hands. So when we move, maneuver, kind of do any dexterous things with our hands, it has an impact on our entire system. So even when we do this, just like these two fingers, it's gonna have an overall like effect to it. But when we use a mudra, like this, we're literally kind of blocking and kind of directing energy flow in a very particular area of the body. So one aspect of yoga is actually just entirely focusing on mudras. So you would sit there and just meditate. And mudras are basically hand gestures where people in very spiritual states have spontaneously just found themselves in. So this sign, like when you're putting it on your lap, this is a very common sign. And it doesn't matter who in the world, where in the corner of the world they've done any meditation stuff, naturally you find your state in when you're thinking about the universe and everything. This is like the universal mudra for that. So this is, even though we're focusing on a breath practice, the alternate nostril breathing, to add in a little mudra in there is just gonna like spice it up a little. But to be honest, I don't do that. I usually just do that because either I'm so anxious that I can't handle like doing it anymore. But what you wanna do is you wanna do this 12 times. You wanna do it 6 times using one hand. And what I do is see how each of these fingers, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's like 12 right there. And what I do is I put my thumb on one crevice of it and then I move. So I count, okay, that's 2. And then that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Then my hands usually start to get tired and then I switch hands. So then I do it like this. So then you have kind of like a hand-eye coordination sort of situation happening here, and you're using the mudras. So you're directing energy flow, your focus is changing and moving. And what the alternate nostril breathing does is that it balances out the oxygen levels that you're inhaling and exhaling through the left and right side of your body. And your left and right side of the body in yoga is, I mean, there's a whole other field to this, but in short, Hatha yoga, the classical form of yoga, Ha means the sun and Tha means the moon. So basically, Hatha yoga means balancing out the sun and the moon. And essentially, your right side of your body is representative of the sun, and your left side of the body is representative of the moon. The yang energy, the yin energy, the active energy, the calming energy. So what you do by balancing out, like inhaling and exhaling through your left and right nostrils, is you balance out, one, the energy flow both into your calm side of the body and to your active side of the body. So if you're active, doing this breathing practice, you will notice either your right nostril is slightly blocked or really open. So you will kind of like notice when you do this practice, you'll notice, when I have really been lazy and I haven't had any activity, my left nostril will be blocked. It's like kind of like telling me that it's like needs some activity, or the right side will be really dull. So it's kind of like you have to get in tune with your own body to figure out which one's which. But essentially, the left side represents the calming energy and the right side represents the active energy. And so when you're breathing, you notice it is normal for one side to be more blocked than the other. It's just for you to notice what it is, for you to be able to go inside and to be like, okay, do I need more activity right now? Or do I need more rest? Whenever you have a cold, it generally is blocked on your right side. It's when you have been acting, doing yang energy way too much. It's now, however, during the quarantine, perhaps there's a lot of relaxation happening and not enough movement. But when you do this breathing exercise, you will figure out whether or not you are balanced, and then take action into getting into balance. But this in itself will balance out the left side and the right side of the energy. So if you're feeling like tightness in your left side, or just like congested in your heart or whatever, try to see doing this, like if doing this like breathing practice will help like kind of like balance you out. For me, for certain, almost always, whenever I have a headache, I do this practice and it almost always relieves it. It's whenever I'm like thinking too much and my head is like getting really constricted, and basically either there's too much focus on the brain and not enough focus to other areas, and this breathing practice helps to kind of like regulate everything and goes back to normal. So this is an excellent practice for you to just begin doing a little mindfulness. But on top of that, do check out like apps like Headspace. I hear like Tuner or Fine Tuner or Timer is a really good app as well. It's something that my brother uses. But yeah, anything, go online and just check out anything that is like meditation related, and check and see it out. Actually, for Yoga Avec Moi, we have like a project, a free project, a karma yoga project that we're doing, that we've created. Like we're in the process of creating 365 meditations in order to celebrate the Bicentenary of the Bob, which you can look up further on the website if you would like. But essentially, we have a lot of free meditations on our website already. So if you would like to begin with any of those, definitely go on there and check them out and use them as your preliminary meditation techniques, because part of what this project is trying to do is to put on a platter different meditation techniques to see which type resonates with you in particular. Because meditation is something that's like, you really got to try a lot of things to be like, all right, okay, I find this practice really calming. This one really helps my clarity. This one helps ground me. This one helps like clean my nervous system. Like I have one for basically all of those things. But also recognizing that not everyone, like, so even one of the reasons why this project, the Bicentenary Meditation Project, is a karma yoga project, so I've invited like many people to contribute together, is because not everyone responds to the same voice. So be sure to find a meditation teacher that you really resonate with, that you really click with, that you're like, all right, this person looks kind of cool. I really resonate with them. If that's me, I love you. Welcome. You're welcome to be here. There's so many meditations that you can go and do. But if not, that's also cool. I'm not going to take it personally. Just go find your thing. And I will cheer you on to go find the thing that you really, really need for you. Whether that's a voice, whether that's a tone, whether that's a specialty or an area of focus. So just basically think, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Ooh, I've always wanted to try Taoist meditation, or like, ooh, I've always wanted to try yogic meditation, or like, ooh, like whatever that ooh is, do it. Like that's basically your soul already guiding you to be like, that's where we want to go. So basically, we had the story of the monks, we had the breathing practices, we have the resources of where to go to be able to get that and to calm our minds, because we do not want to remain in that frazzled, freaky state. So we want to remain back to calm, because when we are calm, we are able to make good decisions. And that is super important individually, collective, in our little core relationship circles, and relationally to our communities, especially those who are serving the greater good, which, thank you in advance. If that is you and you were watching this video, I salute to you. So if you liked this video, I hope you did, and I hope you found it helpful. Comment down in the in the comments below. Let me know how you found this like breathing practice, or whether or not if it doesn't work for you. Like hopefully there'll be other breathing practices that might help. But basically, let me know. I would love to hear what your experience is. But this is one that has generally, it's one of the safer ones. Even pregnant women can do this. It's a very safe practice, and basically you can even teach children to do it. I do have a caveat, sorry, this is at the end of the video. However, if blocking your nose kind of gives you a panic attack in itself, drop your hands and just visualize it. It's just as effective, and you would be surprised of how well you can direct breath into one nostril only and into the, you will discover things that you've never been able to do before. It's phenomenal. So that was just something that, like, I know some people might experience that, and if that's you, I hope you listen to this video in the end to be able to know that little warning sign. But drop your hands is just as effective. Like, you absolutely don't need to do that. In fact, it probably will make you focus a little better. I use my hands because I'm so frazzled that I can't sometimes calm myself down enough to focus the energies to go down. So if that's you, use the hands. But remember to switch. Like, that's at least the least you need to do. So I'm gonna end this video over here. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification button if you would like to hear other videos like this one. And that's all for today.